Well, welcome everyone to the Pandemic Survival Guide for Residential Contractors. It is September 18th, and this is the 18th webinar that we have done. So a little synchronicity there. So we have been doing this, folks, for 6 months now, going all the way back to March. So that's quite a long time, and we have a little announcement coming up here, but let's move to the next slide here. For those of you, probably all of you should know us by now, but for those of you that don't, my name is Ed Earl. I'm coming to you from San Diego, where I run a construction project management company, and I'm also a business coach working exclusively with residential contractors along with these two gentlemen. Paul, I'll turn it over to you.
My name's Paul Sandeman, and I've done it for 35 years. I know I don't look it, I find it interesting to now note, guys, that some guys haven't survived, right? I've got a couple of people that did not survive the pandemic, and it wasn't because of lack of business. We can go into that later, but interesting times.
I'm David Lupberger. I'm in Boulder, Colorado, a former building contractor, or as a friend of mine likes to say, a recovering remodeler. But there's a passion to this, and we're going to talk more about that today. Go ahead, Ed.
All right, well, let's move on to our next slide. So here's our big news, folks. The pandemic situation obviously has not gone away, but it has stabilized. And so we have actually made the decision that it is now time for the Pandemic Survival Guide webinar to come to an end. So, really, when we started this on a weekly basis, things were happening so quickly, particularly in the form of aid and all of those other things. Really, there's nothing to report this week since what we reported 2 weeks ago in regards to the PPP program and the EIDL. So we decided that at this point, we feel like it's run its course. We've served our purpose on the webinar. And so we do have something new that we're going to do. We're going to give you some more information about that at the end. But what we decided to do instead today is to give you some presentation. I'm going to turn it over to David here shortly, and we can move to the next slide. And it's about selling your why and clearly communicating why customers should hire you. And that is so important, even more important in today's world than it has been in the past. So I'm going to turn it over to Paul. Paul's going to start us off with this point here.
Okay, well, the first person you have to sell when you're selling anything is yourself, right? And I've had several contractors over the last month or so that have quit construction. And it's because not they've been doing well, it's just that they didn't want to do this again. They've been successful financially, they don't need to do construction to make a living, and they just said it's not worth it. So I've had a couple of contractors that have just instantly retired and said, I'm done, don't want to do this anymore. They probably didn't follow David's program, which he should talk about later on. They just shut the doors and left, said, I don't want to play. So obviously they weren't convinced it was worth staying in business. So you got to think about why you're doing this. And if you don't believe that this is the best use of your time, we are mortal, we're all going to die. And so if you want to do something before you die besides being a contractor, I would suggest you start now because time is limited. And so since we're all mortal, live like you're going to die in 2 or 3, 4 years, and you'll probably make better decisions. So the first decision is, if you want to stay in contracting, great. But I suggest you don't do it unless you love it, unless it's something you really want to do. Do not do anything for money you would not do for free. David.
Great idea. All right, because some of this you're really going to relate to, but it really is about you're in this industry because of not only a commitment to the projects, but the process. And there's certain intangible commitments that you make to your clients that they don't read on a website, which is, we've been in business 20 years, we're licensed, we're insured. That's not why they hire you. They don't hire you until they trust you and know that you can deliver on what they want and help them meet the promise of creating this dream that starts in the form of building plans and then turns into this living space. This is a challenging challenging profession. You all know this. You're working with plan development. You're working with their budget, and everyone has a budget. You're dealing with multiple products. Think of a kitchen, bath addition, 100 different selections, multiple suppliers, multiple trade contractors, and then the ringer, the emotional homeowners. And I've asked people before they decide to move forward, how long have they been thinking about their project? And the answer can't be.
Don't forget to add in COVID, fire, and floods.
Okay, COVID, serpents, the snake, everything that's happened.
Add to the mix here, right?
Yeah. So your job, willingly, that we are taking on all of these moving parts. And I've asked contractors in live programs, why do you do this? It's not easy. But you begin to see there's a certain commitment to not only the project, but as I mentioned, the project, which is a commitment to the creativity, to the people that you're working with, to making dreams happen, to managing this process, to working with good people, not just your clients, but subcontractors, your suppliers, your good employees. So it's these intangibles. I want to talk about communicating to the people that need to hear this from you. If you think of the traditional sales process, the media tells homeowners, get 3 to 4 estimates. Well, let's break this down. There's not a common estimating template. So who knows what people are reading? When people look at an estimate, they really don't know the distinctions of what's included and what isn't. So in most cases, they're looking at an estimate, they're going down to the bottom of the page, and they're basing their decision or their initial impression on price. Here's the question I always like asking: are all contractors created equal? Ed, Paul, what are your answers?
No.
David, hell no.
Hell no. That is the correct answer. Hell no. So I love comparing custom remodeling and custom building to elective surgery. If someone needs an elective surgery, is elective. Bad knee, bad shoulder, bad hip. You make a decision, huge emotional investment, it's your body. Before the surgery starts, the outcome is uncertain. They've all read stories where the surgery.
I would note, David, that some people take better care of their house than they do of their body.
Okay. Well, they desperately, if somebody's approaching this, I went through a knee replacement 4 years ago. You desperately hope you pick the right surgeon. And let's go one step further, raise the ante if you have a child or a family member needing surgery. What's most important is not price. It's finding the person who's very best at what they do, who's an expert. So let's compare that to custom building and remodeling. Huge emotional investment because people may have been thinking about their project for years before moving forward. The outcome is uncertain. Project hasn't started yet. They desperately hope they pick the right contractor. So there's a great deal of uncertainty. How do we communicate to them that we can deliver the project and the experience that exceeds their expectation?
David, I would add here that several people have probably been burned already by one contractor.
Oh, and what's put in the media. I mean, they love to highlight the unscrupulous contractor series. But for the key people on, this program, you've chosen this occupation and this creative challenge because in all sincerity, you make dreams happen. And it's our job to communicate that we can communicate and build that dream. So let's look at communicating that skill set. We don't just sell a project. For those of you that have been in this for any amount of time, we also sell an experience, and price on any estimate is not an indicator of that experience. So, gosh, several years ago, I got to watch a TED.
I would say sometimes the cheaper the price, the worse the experience. That can happen.
And unfortunately, that's that learning curve of those people who got burned. So several years ago, I got to look at a TED Talk, and I can send you, those of you that are interested, a link to this. And Simon Sinek did a program on understanding your why, just 18-minute TED Talk. And I watched this thing at the end and I said, that's customer modeling. He's got it. So really, let's kind of peel back the onion just a little bit and begin to examine, why are you in construction? Why does your company exist? And we can do it as simply as, why do you get up in the morning? What inspires you? What is it you're doing that allows you to get up, work as hard as you do, juggle all those occupational requirements? And when you think of all these processes that need to come together, all right, in a successful project, how much of that, those intangibles, are represented in a written estimate? You tell me. Ed, Paul?
About zero.
Zero. How about less than zero? We've gone into the negative category. So there are different ways to sell. All right. You can sell, I just really called a spade by manipulation. One is fear. In every alarm company, basically, if you've ever watched an alarm company, a TV ad, you've got a woman with their 2 children, second floor of the house, the window breaks, they hear it, and their husband isn't home. So they're selling fear. This could happen to you. You have Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. Stand in line, save $200 on a flat screen TV. You've got scarcity. Toward the end of a year, car dealers, maybe depending on the time of year, we've got X number of cars at this price. The problem is manipulation doesn't build loyalty, doesn't build trust. Remodeling, custom building is a relationship-based sale. So when I'm talking about identifying your why, this is an alignment of your core commitments and aligning with people who are seeking and share those same core values.
And
So
I would say, David, one comment that social media has made it a lot easier, cheaper to sell manipulation, fear, price, and scarcity.
Oh, Lord. We're going to see an ample example of this as we get closer to the election. And I really look at saying, for the interest of transparency, of honesty and integrity, when I can communicate my principles, it not only brings my cause to life, but it also inspires and enlivens my employees and my clients, because I will help them identify those things that are needed to produce their work. So, as I started by saying, potential clients don't hire you until they trust you. All right, they're buying you, and our job is in our communication to communicate, as I mentioned, authenticity, integrity, transparency, honesty. And so that's the why we want to communicate. And finding this why, we don't invent it. We discover what we're already doing and learn how to communicate that. So I want to delve into this idea of, what do you bring to your clients as a contractor? What differentiates you from the competition? Simply, why you? Why do clients hire you? So the standard bid process doesn't really support this why. So let's get into this. I can give you an exercise, and I can't recommend this enough. You'll send this note. I can give you a copy of this note, the text. In essence, I want you to choose 10 good past clients, 10 people. These were good jobs. It went well. These are people that if you ran into them in a grocery store, you'd probably talk 10, 15 minutes. You like each other.
These are people that you have good chemistry and actually like each other, right?
You like each other. You might, they'd invite you over for dinner after the project was done. They loved their space. They loved working with you. You're going to send a note and you're going to say, hi, Ed. Hi, Paul. I hope you still enjoy the work that I've done. I want you to know I'm updating my marketing. I could use your help. I've got one question to ask. Here's my question. When you were looking for a contractor to finish your project, what did I do? What did I say that allowed you to feel comfortable hiring me? Simply, why me? And so send that note to 10 great past clients. And remember, these people, they like you, you like them, they will respond. You'll get anywhere from a 1 or 2 paragraph response to a 4 or 5 paragraph response.
David, if they don't respond, they're not the right person anyway.
No, and they'll share their experience. And this is what we're talking about, is what defined their construction experience. So I did this with Mike Hayworth. He's on Orcas Island. So it's an island off of Seattle, very nice area. He's been on Orcas for 43 years. All right, he's 63, been there since he was 20. And just in my conversation with him, his attention to detail, his patience in our conversation, his measured responses. If there was any such thing as a master builder, this guy's it. All right, you could just see the commitment to the craft. So he had called me saying, I'm losing jobs based on price. And I'm listening and I'm going, Mike, I don't think that's the case. He said, well, it's happened. And I said, well, you do an experiment with me. If I send you, this simple little question, will you send this out to good 10 or 8 or 10 good past clients? He initially, honestly, he said no, but his wife was on the call with us. And she said, yes, we will do that. So I hate reading, a PowerPoint, but I can't say this any better than Mike's past clients said. He sent that note out, and these are just snippets of what his past clients said when he asked them, why Hayworth Design and Construction? So here are just some samples. The primary reason we hired you was because you were so highly recommended. We were impressed with your amazing listening skills and knowledge of the building process. We love our home. You listened to us, you let us finish. You thought about what we said and then offered your ideas. You were an active listener, but you went a step further. You were willing to work with us to make cost cuts, to make sure our budget worked to our satisfaction. In the end, the budget was pretty much spot on. We went to 3 places with you. And remember, these came from a variety of different people. I just pulled out some of the testimonials that I liked. We went to 3 places with you, all different. In all cases, we were impressed with your attention to aesthetics, whether plain or complicated, and your attention to detail and proportion. And what I remember was you were such a good listener, it seemed important to you to understand our feelings about the land, what we wanted to keep about the place. You started to sketch out an idea and you got it about us. You were patient, you listened, you weren't in a hurry. And really my favorite, maybe it comes down to intuition and trust. We trusted you to be honest and fair. You didn't let us down. It did get more expensive than we planned, but you always negotiated as we went along. You gave us estimates that were pretty close to the final cost. Now, Mike would have never said any of this, but his past clients would, all right? And they were telling him what he brought to their experience. Now, I did this same exercise with Nick Yegi, and Nick is in Northern California. And again, he kind of sent me some of the responses, and I've edited this just for time. You appeared honest and straightforward. You listened well. Your references checked out, including a site visit to an existing client's home. You were willing to take on a challenging project, and I would add that you followed through with all of your commitments. The end product is stellar.
Right. And then you might notice that the blatant thing here is nobody says you were the cheapest.
Never. All right, I'm going to get there, Paul, because you begin to see the emotional connection that he made with these folks. So I did this very program at the GLC Live show in Providence, Rhode Island, and the owner of DBS Remodel came up afterwards. He literally said, at every contract signing, we ask, why us? Why DBS Remodel? Literally, after 2,500 customer surveys, cleanliness, politeness, and trust was a common thread. I pulled this letterhead, this logo right off of his website. DBS Remodel, when cleanliness, politeness, and trust matter. So as you look at this, and you just nailed it, Paul, they're not focused on price. All right. What's being communicated is honesty, is a patience, the ability to listen. There's an integrity. And price is just not a, now budget was a concern, but not price. And when you think about these three companies, just in what I read, when I read it, every time I read this, I feel more connected to these people because they seem to be relating to what's important to me.
And aside here, David, I always tell my clients that when you're talking to people, you say, we're going to price your project, we're not going to bid your project.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Words are important.
So we want to communicate our company core values and trust. And it's not me communicating. You see through those examples, their past clients are communicating this. So really what we're doing is defining a company identity. And I pulled this right out of a book by Rick Harshaw, entitled Unlocking Unlimited Lead Flow. So he said, defining your identity, it's a word, phrase, or image articulated with power, precision, and passion, and that these words instantly and definitively communicate who you are, how you're different and better, and what customers can expect from working with you. So since your customers, prospective customers, remember, they've been told by the media, talk with 3 or 4 contractors, they go online. I want to spell this out because if prospective customers don't always know what to look for, let's help them. Let's begin to put that phrasing in place so that we're connecting on that emotional level.
Right. They think they're buying a product like a car versus a service, right, David? And
right.
Then they go, well, it's all the same Mercedes. I might as well buy it the cheapest place I can buy it.
And we're changing that.
Because it's a
service.
So
truly, if you've been in this business for any amount of time, you know how challenging it is. And we do it because of that emotional commitment, connection, the creative opportunity to work with people in a unique way. So let's express that. Here's a simple exercise number 2. The first one was to send that note out to past clients. Why David Lutberger? Why did you choose to work with me? Here's part 2. Fold a piece of paper in half. And if you've done exercise 1 and you've got back a number of these client testimonials of why they worked with you, begin to look at what they said. And on the left-hand side of the paper, they'll tell you what those core beliefs are because you communicated that to them through the building process. So on the left-hand side of the paper, simply write, I believe, and begin to just put in a list those things you believe and the commitments you want to bring to every project. Just write them down, 8, 10, 12 of them. This is what we commit to do with every project we do. But on the right-hand side of the paper, write down which of those are observable. How would a client, how would an employee see that what that commitment, how it's expressed? So really on the left-hand side is more global. On the right-hand side is observable. So simply, how are those why statements being demonstrated in your day-to-day business? So I've got an example. Gettle Air Conditioning. I got this right from their website. Observable belief statements. We believe in showing up on time. We believe in super sealing the air ducts because no one needs to air condition their attic. We believe in eliminating every squeak, rattle, and hum because if you don't, bigger problems will follow. We believe in replacing every screw, even the ones other people left out, so we can tighten up the unit like new. And lastly, we install everything level, plumb, and square because this is the signature of a superior technician. Quick question, Ed, Would you hire this company?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You'd give
Especially,
them
I
a
love
call, wouldn't you?
the level
Yeah,
plumb
I'm
and
sorry, go
square.
ahead.
Yeah, the level plumb and square is just brilliant. That's a great concept.
Yeah. And so what Mike did, and I'm going to show you some examples, he got back those employee past customer testimonials, and he sat down with his employees. They folded the piece of paper in half, and he said, let me read to you what some past customers have shared in regards to working with Hayworth Design and Construction. Let me read you these. I want to share this with you. And secondly, what I want to do is I want to, using this and using your experience of working with me, I want to put in writing what we believe as a company and what we bring to every project we do. And look, we're compelled to act out the things we believe. And I want to add this point because you can imagine the Gettle repair technician going out to work. If they read that before they left work every morning, do you think they'd cut corners?
Probably not.
Probably not. All right. So Mike did this with his employees. And he said, you know, what experience do we deliver? And I want to read you his identity statement. So at Hayworth Design and Construction, we believe in doing everything in the best possible way with integrity, care, and efficiency. We take time to be with and listen to our clients. We take time to do things right. We don't cut corners as we believe that's a false economy. It most often creates problems in the future. And then he said, what do we bring to every job? What do we believe? He literally told me afterwards, his employees looked at him and said, Mike, this is the Hayworth way. So we believe in maintaining control of the process through direct work on all phases of the project, in taking the time necessary to do the job right. In listening to our,
you know, sometimes, Dave, this is like called building a brand, right? Like,
yes,
what does Disney stand for? What does Tesla stand for? What does Amazon stand for? Companies that do this build a brand. So people are buying the brand, not the price.
interesting. Because his employees, they literally wrote these with him. In listening to our clients and creating the best house for their needs, we work to identify a budget that can get you the house for a price you can afford. And we won't build anything short of excellent quality. And these next two are really very insightful. We believe in also taking care of our subs. We prefer to have only one sub working on the job at a time, which in these days and times may be more challenging. We make sure the work area for the sub is cleaned out and cleared out so that nothing gets in their way. We do the extra work so the sub's work comes out right. Guess what? We also believe in paying a fair wage to our crew members. Do you think Hayworth and Design and Construction is inexpensive? What do you think, Ed?
Nope.
I would say simply they're expensive, but they're worth it.
They're worth it because they do everything in the proper order. They don't get out of sequence and they maintain super tidy job sites. Simply reduces the risk of accidents and creates greater efficiency. So that was Mike Hayworth. I also did this with Nick Yegi. So let me share you what he wrote with his employees. At Heartwood Residential, we believe in providing a client experience that exceeds expectations, building relationships with our clients based on trust. We build our project to surpass industry standards, and we purposely design environments that enable our clients to love where they live. So we believe in fulfilling our commitments every time, in total accountability for our crews, subs, materials, and methods to complete your project on time and on budget. We offer an industry-leading lifetime warranty on workmanship. And you'll see there's some duplication here. We believe in keeping our job sites clean because it leads to greater efficiency. In creating clear, open, and frequent communication through weekly homeowner progress meetings between the project manager and homeowner. We believe in answering all calls and emails promptly, in providing a detailed scope of work and clear contract documentation. And again, providing Heartwood employees with competitive living wages and health benefits from themselves and their family. In providing a clearly defined design and construction process from the initial design meeting through installation of final finishes. And finding creative solutions to the unique challenges of every project, especially the most challenging. Now, these are promises that, again, Nick did with his employees. So you begin to see, I hope you begin to see that really being clear about this why helps define an experience, but inspires the people who are committed to doing this. And I want my employees to carry that same inspiration onto that job every day. Now, a third example, this is a handyman franchise. And when you think of handyman work, sometimes there can be a mixed connotation. So we did this same exercise. And here's what they wrote. At House Doctors, we believe everyone should have a place they can call home. We believe that homeowners should have someone they can call to complete repairs, maintenance, improvements on their homes with ease. We believe in being professional, courteous, and offering value for money. We respect people's time. We listen to understand their needs. And our aim is to produce quality work and treat other people's homes like our own. We offer a full 1-year guarantee on our labor. And here are their commitments. Our aim is to make home improvements easier for our customers. We arrive on time by using our prompt and precise scheduling tool. We review your job with you before we start. We will produce high quality work in a timely manner. We treat your home like our own, protecting the work area, and we clean up daily. We'll also review the job with you upon completion. And once again, we offer a full 1-year guarantee on our labor. Would you hire, Paul, would you hire this as a handyman company?
Absolutely.
I
don't even think I'd ask what they cost, because what I need fixed is way more, and I don't know how to do it or don't want to do it. So I'd like to call somebody, because handymen probably have a worse reputation than contractors as a group, right?
They could have, yeah.
So I want just to have somebody show up on time and do the job, whatever it costs, that's fine. I just want to get it done.
And, you know, price isn't the focus here. It's the experience. And again, I know I'm repeating myself, but it's communicating those intangible things you bring to really change and support a successful homeowner experience. Now, I did this exact program at a remodeling council in Northern California. And at the end of the program, a woman stand up in the audience and she said, I'm a former Nordstrom's manager. And she said, everything you said here is what Nordstrom trains employees to follow. She said, can I read the Nordstrom's 5 core values? And I said, of course. And you can see them here, and I'm happy to share this program with you if people want to keep this.
Right.
But she said, we're customer obsessed. All right. We want our employees to know our customers better than anyone else. We want our employees to act as owners at heart, to treat every interaction as an opportunity to make an impact and deliver excellence. We want to be curious and ever changing. Approach every problem with curiosity, because we may be the solution. We're here to win, all right, committed to delivering the best results today and tomorrow, and to extend ourselves to treat each other. This is not just other employees, but our clients, our suppliers, with respect and kindness. We create a welcome environment, helping people feel connected, value, and part of the community. She said at Nordstrom, if somebody goes out of their way to improve a customer experience, he said, they'll never be disciplined. And she gave one more example. She said, we had a pre-Christmas invitation only sale. So week or two before Christmas, whatever it was, invitation only, after hours, hors d'oeuvres, unhurried, plenty of support, plenty of time. A woman came over toward the end of the event and said, "I'm sorry, but it looks like somebody took my coat." So Northern California, just before Christmas, it's overcast, it's raining, it's cold. And she said, "Can I borrow a coat to get home?" The manager said, "Oh gosh, of course." They went over to the coat rack and the manager said, "Pick a coat that you'd like, any coat." Woman picks ones out and says, "Okay, this will work." And the manager said, "The coat is yours." She said, "I beg your pardon?" She said, "The coat's yours. If you lost the coat here, we're going to replace it. Are you sure you're happy with the coat? Thank you for coming." Do you think you've got—
David, since Nordstrom's went out of business, I would say that Amazon's doing the same thing, right? I mean,
Nordstrom's still in business, my friend.
they are? Who went
Yeah.
out? Oh, I thought they went. So here's what I know.
Yeah. So I'm just going to say, do you think that woman would be a Nordstrom client for life? What would be your answer?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Because of that focus. So here's some recommendations. If you can discover your company identity statement in We Believe, and again, I'm happy to share some of these examples, on your website, under About Us, include a We Believe link, because people will read that link and they'll begin to read and understand those company core values. And those core values benefit them directly. Simple question. As everything we've looked at, in the past 30 minutes, it's not about price, and people will pay more for that peace of mind. And one more value-added statement. Imagine potential employees going to your website and reading what you as a company believe. Do you think that would be attractive to potential customers? What's your answer?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So that's on the website. And now I call the company leave behind when you go out on a sales call and you've got some kind of company folder. And we've done this in the past. It may have insurance and state licensing. It may have a value statement about the company. It may have, some different forms. I want to add two things to your company leave behind. On page 1, when they open your company folder, page 1, I want them to read the company value statement, that identity statement of who you are. And then the bottom half of the page are the series of We Believe. These are those statements that will share with them who you are as a company. Page 2, then I want examples of the customer testimonials, those people who responded when you said, "Why us? Why did you choose us?" Because on page 1, you're demonstrating your company commitment. And on page 2, it's past clients saying they delivered. It's past clients supporting everything you said on page 1. And you can have the other documentation in your leave behind. But to me, when a client opens that, because it could be they don't look at it until after you leave, then they see that differentiation. So simply, a simple summary. Simon Sinek, again, understanding your why. Why do you get up in the morning? Why does your organization exist? Your why is the purpose, cause, and belief that inspires you to do what you do. When you think, act, and communicate, understanding your why, you inspire others. Your clients buy emotionally, but they use these supporting materials to justify their decision. So let's just help them make the right decision. Simple summary. Clients don't hire you until they like and trust you. You want to communicate why you do what you do. That's where they want to make that connection. And guess what? It's also effective qualifying. If clients don't share those core values and beliefs, they're probably not your customers. And I know you all understand what I mean by saying that. So I think we're pretty much on time, Ed. I was trying to push this through.
David, I confused Neiman Marcus and Nordstrom. Star. You can tell why I don't shop, right?
Yeah, Nordstrom's still in business, my friend. Yeah.
There we go. That's all.
And, you know,
So,
to
hey,
be-
I
just
was
want to say,
just going to add, David, that Renee asked for a copy of the Simon Sinek video. So I went ahead and put that link in the chat box. So for any of you that are interested, on the chat box, I put the link to the Simon Sinek video. I also put a link to the book that David talked about, the Rick Hartwell book, and the Unlocked Unlimited Lead Flow. I gave you a link to that in the chat as well. Go ahead, David. I cut you off.
No, it's just fine. It's when we talk about Nordstrom has never been known for being inexpensive. In fact, when you go to Nordstrom, you almost say, I'm going to pay more. But it's a different experience. True story. One more story is I went to Nordstrom's and bought some dress shoes. You know, they're inexpensive. They're not an inexpensive dress shoe. And so I'm trying it on and I'm working around, and the guy said, take it home and wear it for a week. And I looked at him and said, well, if I wear it, you know, I'm going to scuff the bottom. He said, it doesn't matter. If you don't love them, bring them back. How can you not love a sale like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
We ought to be buying the service and not buying the price. And that's, I think contractors get so beat up so often by price, they fall into that it's all about price.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get yourself out of that position, because if you lose work because of that, you have to sort of pick yourself up and say, well, it's my fault for not educating the customer. It's not the customer's fault for just wanting to get a good deal.
You know, Paul, when I've had contractors tell me, you know, I lost it based on price, I always want to circle back to what that means to me is I didn't connect to my customer. I didn't convey the value that I bring. Because if I do that correctly, price becomes secondary, becomes tertiary when they begin to see I'm going to make their dream happen. And this is what we do to make that dream happen.
I mean, how often, y'all, that's the question, both of you, have you heard a contractor complain, well, I lost the job because the client thought the other guy was going to do a better job?
It's usually price driven, Paul.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Well, great job, David. So let's just before we leave you here, I want to tell you a couple of things. First off, some of you have asked, you know, where can we find the recordings of the past webinars? So I am just putting right now in the chat box a link to a page on our RCSG website where you can find the recordings of all 18 of our past webinars. So if any of you are interested and you want to see those, please go ahead there. It looks like Betsy actually asked that. So that will be, this one will be on. It usually takes a couple of days for our webmaster to get it on, but this presentation will be on the website here in a couple of days, but you can follow that link I just sent. So, all right, what comes after the webinar? Well, we've decided, in kind of looking at the market, we've realized that we feel we can be much more effective and reach a larger audience by changing from a webinar to a podcast. Probably many of you, like me, are starting to feel zoomed out with so many Zoom calls, and the last thing you want to do is sit down for another hour in front of your computer to watch the webinar. So with a podcast, you can watch it, you know, from your truck while you're driving between jobs, or while you're going for a walk or working out, and you can watch it at any, or listen to it at any time you want.
Yeah.
So we've created this concept, and it's going to be called the Contractor Success Tips Podcast. And Paul, do you want to give them a little background on the idea behind the podcast?
Well, I mean, I many years ago, like 15 years ago, we did a podcast called Business Success Tips. We did about 500 shows. We had, I don't know, 10, 20,000 listeners, which isn't much nowadays, was good for them. And so we have some familiar with podcasts. And I think, you know, it's grown a lot in 15 years, but it's a good method to communicate things. But one of the things we did in that podcast was we talked to real businesses solving real problems. So we're going to do that. We have 50 contractors we work with, and all of you people end up with the same kind of problems in the same ways. It's amazing what happens as far as similarity. So what we're going to do, and we ask you, if you're interested, please, we sent you an email, contact us. We would like to we're going to interview real contractors with real problems, sort of like a reality TV show. And we're going to solve real problems, like, what do I do with this difficult client? What do I do with this difficult, person? I can't find the right people. I can't find the right clients. The client won't pay me. My employee is not good enough to keep or bad enough to fire. Those kind of questions come up all the time. And so we're going to deal with real contractors and real solutions. But to do that, we need real contractors. And there's some listening to this podcast. So if you have any interest at all at participating in the podcast, we'd love you to either call us, email us, or click on the email we sent you.
Or also, David, if you could flip to the next slide, David, I put the link up there.
Great.
So right. So if you want to be a guest on our national podcast, you can just schedule a time to discuss your possible participation and just click on that link right there, and that'll take you right to our schedule, and you'll be able to book a time with us.
And again, this is just an interview to find out if you're interested or not. By signing this, you're not signing up for the podcast. You're just saying, I'm willing to explore the possibility. So if you have any interest at all in possibly doing it, let us know, because we'll be interviewing contractors across the country. We'll promote this nationally. And, it's good exposure for you. It's good exposure for your potential clients. And, even though I'm not a big fan of social media, I do believe it is a way of communicating effective problem-solving solutions across the country to people that need to hear them.
Yeah, exactly. All right, David, if you could switch to the last slide. If you need us for anything at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Those are our personal cell phone numbers and email addresses there. We answer every call, every email that we receive. We appreciate all of our dedicated watchers here of our webinar over these last 6 months. We've gotten so much great positive feedback from all of you. We know that it's really helped many of you in your business, and we're happy to do that. That's why we too love what we do, and we want to continue to make a difference. So please never hesitate to reach out to us, drop us an email, or call us or text us, and we'd be happy to help you in any way that we can. So again, thank you all for joining us over these last 6 months. Obviously we're not through this thing yet, but it does seem like we've stabilized, and we're excited about our podcast.
I need to tell this to David, because this really hurts me right here. I guess we're in the new normal, and that's
yay.
Well, let me say a couple of things. The new normal, as I see it, has been clients are doing amazingly well. So it's, we've had our best month ever. Many of our clients have had their best month ever. So, there's a rich and the not so rich. And so if you have clients that are in the, upper echelons, they're doing really well. They're spending money. They're bailing out of the cities. They're building new houses. We're having supply chain issues. So prices are going up. But all in all, it's a really good time to be in construction. So we just need to get that.
I don't take it for granted. This is not 2008 and 2009.
No.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you all again. I tried to respond to, I think I got most all the questions that you asked. I tried to respond to them all. And again, thank you all for your attention. And we've loved having you with us for these last 6 months. And we look forward to continuing to have you participate with us on the podcast.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good
weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.